Thanks for staying with NDTV. You're watching the Friday edition of the World Report. I am Arjun Samar Mahindra. A restaurant recently launched by comedian Kapil Sharma in Canada, Surrey, was fired at on Wednesday night. In fact, several bullets hit the cafe and neighbouring buildings as well. At least 9 shots have been fired at comedian Kapil Sharma's cafe in Canada. Now, this comes just days after it was, in fact, inaugurated. Meanwhile, Khalistani terrorist Harjit Singh Laddi has taken responsibility for the shooting in which no one was injured. Meanwhile, my colleague Maha Siddiqui gets you more from Ground Zero.
I'm standing on the 120th Street in Surrey in Canada, where comedian Kapil Sharma recently started his new venture, Cap Cafe. And here's Cap Cafe right behind us, which has had a bit of a shaky start considering that there was a shooting incident that took place right outside this restaurant on the morning of the 10th of July. The Surrey police say that they got a call at around 1:50 a.m. Saying that there was a shooting that has taken place outside this restaurant. In fact, I will take you exactly to the location where you can see the damage to the property, and the staff was still inside the restaurant at that time. However, none of the staff were injured. That is what the Surrey police press release clearly says. And here is the damage to the property. As you can see, glass shards lying there all over the place, with 3 windows, glass windows, that have been badly damaged because of the shooting that took place from right across the street over here. So it's this street behind me. This is the place where the assailants are believed to have come in a car, and they fired 8 rounds right across here, and the shots ended up damaging the property. As you can see clearly, this is the state of the building at the moment, with the establishment staff being pretty shaken up because of that. As of now, of course, this restaurant is closed because of this shooting incident. Now, while the Surrey police say that its frontline investigation support team is now going to look at this incident, this matter further, to see whether there were any past incidents that could be associated with this one, or what the motive could be behind the shooting. That's what they will investigate. Meanwhile, the Surrey police has canvassed this entire area. They try to speak with any eyewitnesses possible. They are looking for any surveillance cameras around this place through which they could get some clues and be able to piece together exactly what happened on the morning of 10th of July. So far, they say that they have not zeroed in on any suspect. But reports from India suggest that Babbar Khalsa International, the banned terror outfit, could be involved in this shooting. Meanwhile, just some time back, about 15-20 days ago, the Premier of British Columbia, the province where Surrey is, had spoken about the threats and extortion calls that some of the business establishments here in this area, specifically in Surrey, have been getting. And he said that he's going to write to Prime Minister Mark Carney asking him to at least list one of those he believes that operates out of India, Lawrence Bishnoi gang, as a terror outfit. So this is a matter that has been one of concern for the business community here. And as you can see, this entire area, this 120th Street, has quite a few business establishments right behind or just next door to Cap Cafe. You can see a hair salon there. In fact, just across the street, there's a very popular chain of restaurants that you can also see one of their establishments right across the street. So this street has a lot of business establishments, and this issue is a matter of huge concern. And now this shooting that has taken place here, as you can clearly see, the damaged property there right behind me of Cap Cafe, is turning out to be a matter of major concern. In Surrey, in Canada, this is Maha Siddiqui for NDTV.
US President Donald Trump on Thursday announced a 35% tariff on Canadian imports starting the 1st of August. He cited that Ottawa has retaliated with tariffs against Washington. Now, instead of working with the United States, Canada retaliated with its own tariffs, Trump said in his letter to Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. Not only this, he also attributed fentanyl as a reason for the raid in the letter and said, if Canada works with me to stop the flow of fentanyl, we will perhaps consider an adjustment to this letter. Now, the 35% tariffs will be separate from all sectoral tariffs, Trump said, threatening that the duty might very well be increased if Ottawa continues to retaliate. Social movements and supporters of Brazilian President Lula Inácio da Silva gathered for a demonstration on Thursday in Sao Paulo against American President Donald Trump and in favor of taxing the super rich. Now, the protest was scheduled by unions and leftist movements as a call for taxing billionaires and also confronting what organizers call an anti-people Congress. Now, this after Trump's announcements, the movement incorporated the critics of tariffs and its major effect on Brazil's economy. Meanwhile, President Lula had said that he would impose retaliatory tariffs on Washington if Trump follows through on a pledge to boost import taxes by 50% over the South American country's criminal trial against his predecessor, Jair Bolsonaro. Now, Lula also said he will trigger Brazil's reciprocity law approved by Congress only earlier this year if negotiations with the US fail. Here's more.
Não, é um absurdo o que o Trump está fazendo. Ele, ao invés de estar cuidando do país dele, da população dele, está passando necessidade. As pessoas estão lá na rua, debaixo de pontes e viadutos. Muito pior do que o Brasil. E ele vai querer meter o nariz, o dedo, não é nem o nariz, o dedo, num país alheio. Não pode. Ele tem que cuidar da vida dele, tratar bem os outros países ao redor e todo mundo viver em comunhão.
A confrontation erupted Thursday between protesters and federal officials carrying out a raid in a Southern California farm, with authorities throwing canisters that sprayed what looked like smoke into the air to, in fact, disperse the protesters. Vehicles from Border Patrol and U.S. Customs and Border Protection blocked the highway in a largely agricultural area of California's Camarillo. It was lined with fields and greenhouses. There were military-style vehicles and a helicopter also flying overhead. Meanwhile, Glasshouse Farm said on social media that it was visited Thursday by officials for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE officials as they are fully called, and in fact fully complied with agent search and warrants. The company has a permit to grow cannabis in the Ventura County and as of last year used half of the space for cannabis while half was dedicated to tomatoes and cucumbers, the Ventura County Star reported. Meanwhile, it was not immediately known which agencies participated in the raid. Now, the incident, viewers, comes as federal immigration enforcement agents have ramped up arrests in Southern California, heading to car washes, farms, and even Home Depot parking lots to take people into custody. Now, while stoking widespread fear among immigrant communities as well. Mohammad Javad Larijani, a former senior advisor to Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has suggested that US President Donald Trump could very well be attacked by Iran while sunbathing at his Mar-a-Lago mansion in Florida. Now, this threat comes 2 weeks after the US bombed Iran's nuclear and military facilities while interfering in Israel and Iran's 12-day war. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he is hopeful of a hostage deal could happen in the coming days, but he is not backing down. Now, speaking in Washington, Netanyahu said Israel is ready for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza, but only if Hamas surrenders its weapons and control of the territory. I want to take them all out, he said, promising to free both living and deceased hostages in a possible 60-day truce. But he made one thing clear, the fight isn't over. If talks fail, Netanyahu warned we'd achieve our goals by another way, by force. However, as pressure keeps on simmering, the path to peace and victory continues to remain uncertain and in the shroud of the fog of war. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and US top diplomat Marco Rubio held quote-unquote frank talks on the Ukraine war during a meeting on Thursday. Both sides said as Washington hit out at Moscow's lack of flexibility. The US Secretary of State said Lavrov shared new ideas on resolving the conflict, which he promised to in fact present to US President Donald Trump as well. However, he played down the prospect of a breakthrough. The pair met hours after Moscow pummeled Kiev for a second night. And as the United Nations said, the number of victims from Russian attacks was at its highest level in 3 years. Donald Trump has said he plans to make a major statement on Russia as the US prepares to send more American weapons to Ukraine via purchases from NATO allies. Now, Trump, in a telephonic interview to NBC News, reiterated criticism of Russian President Vladimir Putin over Moscow's continued attacks on Ukraine. Not only this, he also said he expects the Senate to pass a tougher Russia sanctions bill sponsored by a close ally, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio will meet Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in their first in-person meeting at a time of severing trade tensions between the two major powers. Washington's top diplomat is in Malaysia currently on his first trip to Asia since taking office, attending the East Asia Summit and the ASEAN Regional Forum alongside counterparts from Japan, China, South Korea, Russia, India, and the European Union, and even the Southeast Asian states. He is in fact meeting with Wong, will come amid escalating friction globally over American President Donald Trump's tariff offensive, with China only this week warning the US against reinstating heavy levies on its goods next month. Meanwhile, Beijing has also threatened to retaliate against the nations that strike deals with the US to cut China out of international and global supply chains. Rubio's visit is a part of an effort to renew US focus on the Indo-Pacific region and also to look beyond conflicts in the Middle East and Europe that have in fact consumed much of the Trump administration's attention. But that has been overshadowed by this week's announcement of steep US tariffs on many Asian countries and US allies that include 25% on Japan, South Korea and Malaysia, 32% for Indonesia, and a whopping 36% for Thailand and Cambodia. But that's not it. Myanmar and Lagos have been slapped with 40% tariffs by Washington. The prelim report from the investigation into the June 12th Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad is likely to be made public on the 11th of July. Now, the report led by the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau is expected to outline the sequence of events, details of the crash, and even the early findings from the probe. Now, the tragic crash claimed 241 lives, with just one survivor among the 242 passengers and crew on board. The aircraft failed to gain altitude after a takeoff from the Ahmedabad airport. Meanwhile, investigators say it peaked at just 625 feet before actually going down. India's AAIB is being supported by the US NTSB, Boeing, GE, and even an ICAO expert. Now, this was the first fatal crash of the Boeing 787 globally. The final report may take months, but for now, all eyes are on awaited prelim findings. The Indian Coast Guard rescued two US nationals stranded about 53 miles or around 80 kilometers south of the Nicobar Islands. ICG ship Rajveer carried out the rescue operation after the US consulate in Chennai, in fact, sent a distress message about the stranded US-flagged sailing vessel. The Indian patrol vessel navigated through rough sea and choppy water conditions to rescue the US nationals. Meanwhile, across the border, rescue efforts continue in Nepal to evacuate people stranded in flood-hit areas. And this after monsoon rains triggered a river flood in Rasuwa district that left 9 dead and nearly 20 others missing. At least 19 people, including 6 Chinese workers as well at the Beijing-aided inland container depot, remain missing in Nepal floods after the floods on Tuesday or the 18th or the 8th of July, in fact, which also washed away the friendship bridge that links Nepal to China. The number of videos online of child sexual abuse have generated by artificial intelligence have surged as pedophiles have pounced on developments in technology. Now, the Internet Watch Foundation said AI videos of abuse had crossed the threshold of being near indistinguishable from real imagery and in fact had sharply increased in prevalence online only this year. And from 2026, US visas for Indians could cost $40,000 under Trump's new visa integrity fee. NDTV's Parmeshwar Baba takes you through what this means, who pays, and of course, how to get a refund.
If you thought getting a US visa was already tough on the wallet, brace yourself. Because Donald Trump just slapped on a security deposit for entering his country. And no, it's not optional. It's called the Visa Integrity Fee, and it's part of a new law in the US. Well, the United States has passed the One Big Beautiful Act, and in it hides a quiet but powerful immigration punch, a $250 surcharge on nearly every non-immigrant visa. This includes the ones most Indians apply for, so the B1, B2, which is the tourist and business visa, F&M, which is the student visa, the H1B, which is the work visa, and J, which is for exchange programs. You must note that only diplomats and international officials get a pass. The rest of us, not so lucky. So what's the actual cost for an Indian traveler now? Well, let's just break it down. Current B1 and B2 visa fee is at $185 US. Add $250 visa integrity fee to that post 2026, plus $24, which is the I-94 fee, and $13, which is the fee for transit waiver situations. The new total, that's around $472 US, or roughly around 40,000 Indian rupees. That's actually 2.5 times what you're paying today. And here's the kicker. This starts in 2026, but the $250, that will increase every year, pegged to US inflation. So by 2027, you might be shelling out even more. Why exactly is the United States doing this? Well, the official reason is to ensure compliance and reduce visa overstays. Basically, it's like a security deposit. You get it back only if you check out on time, clean up, and don't overstay.
After spending more than 2 weeks on board the International Space Station, Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla and his Axiom 4 crewmates are likely scheduled to return to Earth on the 14th of July, according to an official update from NASA on Thursday. Here's more.
Of course, we're working with the station program, watching the Axiom 4 mission, carefully. Obviously, we need to undock that mission. I think the current targeted time is to undock around the 14th of July after the high beta period.
The American Space Agency, NASA, has announced that astronaut Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla's return journey to Earth will begin on July 14, 2025. Group Captain Shukla will undock from the International Space Station, then using the Crew Dragon named Grace by him, he will return to Earth and finally have a splashdown near the coast of California. The exact timings of the undocking and of the splashdown have not yet been announced. He has become the second Indian astronaut to travel to space after Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma made that historic leap in 1984. Captain Shubhanshu Shukla made India proud, and the Axiom 4 mission, which is sometimes called Mission Akash Ganga, has really opened the frontiers of India doing research on microgravity. India now eagerly awaits the return of Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla to Earth. In New Delhi, Pallav Bagla for NDTV.
Much more on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
Sleepless for sports. We are reloading sports NDTV style. With the biggest comeback this season, India's OG sports journalist on India's #1 news network.
No games, just sports.
Sports coverage levels up with Boria Majumdar on NDTV.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
Welcome back. You're watching the World Report. Now on to updates from the world of business, where 2 months after its last one, Bitcoin has once again hit an all-time high, crossing $112,000 before reaching $113,000. Between the lines, there aren't many Bitcoins, viewers, available for regular people to buy right now. And this shrinking liquid supply is in fact putting a floor on price. It was even Stevens on day one. India picked up 4 wickets, but England also powered on, scoring 251 at the loss of 4 wickets at stumps. England cricketers pulled back on the baseball strategy, preferring to go the conventional way. This report gets you more.
India was unable to make early inroads at Lord's on the opening day. Bringing on Nitish Kumar Reddy was Captain Gill's master stroke. As he delivered the wickets of Duckett and Crawley, England were 83 for 2 at lunch.
Absolute peach.
A ball from Bumrah slammed into Rishabh Pant's finger as he stuck his left hand out to try and stop it. He had to leave the field in pain. This was the third slowest scoring session by England in the baseball era. The former England captain notched up 3,000 test runs against India.
3,000 test match runs versus India now.
After some love from Roger Federer at Wimbledon, it was time for Joe Root to bask in Lord's glory. He brought up a half-century. As England batted on, Captain Gill was heard sledging the English team. In the first ball after tea, Ravi Jadeja struck, removing Ollie Pope. The English batter slashed an edge through to the wicketkeeper. This broke the 109 stand for England. In came the number 1 batter, Harry Brook. After an uncharacteristically long spell without wicket, the number 1 bowler, Jasprit Bumrah, dismissed the number 1 batter, Harry Brooks. 98 runs came in the final session of the day for England. Joe Root was unbeaten on 99. The hosts ended the day on 251 for 4.
A slow day, an old-fashioned day of test match cricket.
And Justin Bieber is finally teasing his long-awaited 7th studio album, apparently called Swag. That's correct now, with a series of billboards and social media posts Thursday. Billboards depicting Bieber were found by fans in Iceland and Los Angeles with the word swag written all over them. Now, the singer also shared images of billboards on his official Instagram account that in fact appeared to depict a track list that included song names like All I Can Take, Walking Away and Dad's Love. That's all we have for you this Friday. Meanwhile, the first ever Birkin to have been created by Hermes, the bag was designed for the British actor and singer Jane Birkin. She used it nearly every day from 1985 to 1994, but it became the ultimate symbol of luxury. On Thursday, in fact, the bag was sold by auction house Sotheby's in an online sale of notable luxury fashion, including designs by Alexander McQueen and Christian Dior. Well, that's all we have for you this Friday. Take care and have a lovely weekend.
Sometimes it's the little things that remind us of them. Stay close even when you're far apart. Send money worldwide with Remitly.
OK, we know this isn't your granddaughter. If this were your granddaughter, she'd want you to know that she's upset because you didn't hear her joke. It wasn't a particularly good joke, but still. Now you owe her an ice cream and a hearing test. Book a free test today at bootshearingcare.com. And now you can hear her jokes again. She's over the moon.
If you won't do it for you, do it for them. You could have better hearing in just a week. Boots, with you for life.
It's like wearing a cloud.
Everybody's Britain. What you buy is your business. Making it more rewarding is ours. With cash back on eligible purchases and no fees on spending overseas.
You found that special thing. You're flying without wings.
It's like wearing a cloud. Barclaycard. Make money work for you.
Can I take some? This is incredible. I can't believe it.
And now for some real magic. Just pour it, mix it, and hack it. Delicious iced coffee in a single shot. New Nescafe Espresso Concentrated.
I'm in. Okay, now, you can have a great first day. I promise, all right?
Your donations helped 3D print his heart to guide his surgery. And saved his life with a groundbreaking innovation. And the future breakthrough that could cure her is closer than ever. Help us turn science fiction into reality and save more lives like hers. Donate to the British Heart Foundation now.
Whether you're setting up a new nest, starting your own flock, or they just keep on growing, get more time to pay with VeryPay. You can buy now and pay up to 12 months later. And pay no interest, with nothing to pay at checkout. And you can easily keep track of payments in the Very app. More time to pay with VeryPay.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
Sleepless for sports. We are reloading sports NDTV style. With the biggest comeback this season, India's OG sports journalist on India's #1 news network.
No games, just sports.
Sports coverage levels up with Boria Majumdar on NDTV.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Fault Lines. I'm Gauri Dwivedi, and in this episode, the focus will be on two clear fault lines. One that binds Turkey and Pakistan squarely against India. The second we will explore is the latest phase, the next phase of the Russia-Ukraine war, and why it is likely to be even more deadly than what it has been for the last 3 years. Viewers, the first story that we focus on is the nexus that came to fore during